Hello and welcome everyone to the Almost Anything Goes podcast. I am your host, and today we have another insightful session lined up for you. Joining me are our wonderful co-hosts. We have Marsé, the rebellious advocate.
Hey y'all.
And next we have Stacey and Shenanigans Inc.
Hey. Good to see everybody back.
And we have Orvin's God's favorite.
Always. I am happy to be here. God sent me.
We never know, y'all, what's going to come out of God's favorite's mouth. And yes, thank the Lord. Thank the Lord. Today, episode is about a topic that many of us think we left behind in our teenage years, but it follows us into adulthood, and that topic is peer pressure. We often associate peer pressure with school and adolescence, but the reality is it doesn't stop there. Adults face peer pressure in many aspects of life, whether it's from work to social circles and even within our families. And so today, we are discussing what adult peer pressure looks like, how to recognize it, and we're going to give you some practical tips for dealing with it. So let's jump in. And with that being said, I must admit, AAGP probably came about with adult peer pressure. And as a matter of fact, if I'm not mistaken, I don't even think I necessarily asked. I think I was just like, hey, we're going to do a podcast. And here we have it. So I have displayed myself adult peer pressure. It's true. It's true. Oh, let's kick things off and let's define adult peer pressure. Orvin, would you like to start?
Yeah, because you just told me to.
Yeah.
See how the adult peer pressure works? No, I'm just joking. Show Miranda. Adult peer pressure is the influence exerted by people within social groups, workplaces, even family circles to conform to certain behaviors, attitudes, and lifestyles. It's a subtle and sometimes not so subtle push to fit in, make certain choices, or adopt particular habits, like you just told me to do.
That's a great definition, Orvin. Stacey, what are some common areas where adults might experience peer pressure?
So I would say common area, definitely the work environment. So that is a pressure cooker in itself, but I would say that's a popular place where you would probably experience peer pressure outside of your family.
Work culture, all of that. Yes, you're going to have lots of those types of lots of peer pressure in that domain. Marsé, how do you think social media plays a role in adult peer pressure?
I think it plays a big role. It is definitely a pressure cooker in itself. I even have been peer pressured by social media in the sense of, oh, I need everything I do to look like this, or I need my Instagram posts to look like this, or my stories to look like this. It's a big reason why I got rid of a lot of social media, because I just felt that need to be like the person I'm seeing through a screen, even though most of us know that what we see through the screen isn't the full truth.
That's true. You're right. Listen, you all are following people who are making posts in a corner of a room of a dingy basement. No, I'm just making that part up. But it could be a dingy basement. That has a beautiful backdrop. I'm just saying, you all. Yes, church finger.
I was also just thinking about how a lot of social media people have other people making posts for them. So they have people telling them what content to create so that the person on the side can then post it and do all of the curating. So that's just another level to the fakeness.
Exactly. Another level where some of you, or maybe it's not you, maybe it's your children, maybe it's your nephews, your nieces, whomever, are literally looking at these people, imagining and wanting the life that even the people don't even have, but y'all want that life. So we have to be mindful of that in itself. Excellent points. Excellent points. Marsé, have you ever felt peer pressure as an adult? And if so, how did you handle it?
Absolutely. I feel like a lot of my life has been curated under peer pressure, especially not as much as an adult. I feel as an adult, I do more of pressuring than I do on the other side because of my job and things like that. But I have definitely been peer pressured, mainly again through social media or feeling like my life needs to look a certain way to the public eye, or myself as someone who is neurodiverse trying to show like, oh, I actually am this way, not this way, and faking my personality and different things to match other people's ideas.
Thank you for sharing that. How about anybody else besides being a part of this podcast? Have you felt adult peer pressure?
Definitely. I would say at work, it can be subtle or it can be like a train wreck, but more so at work, it may look like, oh, let's go out for drinks after work or let's go to lunch. Lunch became like the new golf course, they used to say in the business world. If you weren't invited and show up for lunch, you miss all of the kind of detailed, not, it was helpful. Don't get me wrong, it was helpful, but you start to feel like I gotta be there for lunch when, sometimes you need some downtime on your own. Like I'm at work, I just want to go over here and sit in the closet in the corner a little bit to get my thoughts together. But no, I have to be at lunch or you have to work long hours. I think parents experience this all the time. I can't work these long hours. I have to go. I have a second job. I have to go home to my family. So that type of peer pressure as well too can also show itself in
Thank
the
you for
work
sharing
environment
that.
too.
God's favorite, you had something to add?
Yes, and I'm glad I let her go first because I'm going to like piggyback off it a little bit. I felt pressure in the past as an adult to keep up with the Joneses. It's not always direct peer pressure or something that one individual has said, but just to keep up with the people that are around you, which are your peers, to try to have the best cars and the best clothes and the best material things and to live the lifestyles that they've lived and or try to be better, to one up them. Not me personally, but to one up them in, oh, can like I'm doing real well. Oh, I'm making it. I'm creme de la creme. I'm the best. I'm the top. And sometimes that's a pressure on adults as well to try to do everything that you see going on around you. And it makes it even worse these days with social media, as the rebellious advocate said, trying to live that fake lifestyle. You think that's how they're living, that they're traveling to all these locations and they didn't pay their rent this month, or they live on somebody's couch, or they have no home address. I'm not saying that's the case, but this is a possibility. You never know what's going on behind the scenes. So it's best, which I don't do anymore, to try to keep up with what's going on around you with the peer pressure of living like someone else.
Oh, that's good. Thank you for sharing that. Thank you, everyone, for sharing. What advice would you give to someone struggling with peer pressure from their social circle? And Stacey, we can start with you.
Okay. Someone said the saying, I should have looked it up, but who said it? It could have been something I found on social media as I was scrolling through. But it went along the lines of if you're in a room with a group of people that don't understand you or accept you, you're in the wrong room, basically. If your social circle, sometimes you have to take I would say, inventory a little bit. Your social circle should be your support system, and it's not always the case. But if you have an opportunity or a need to, you might want to step back and say, wait, am I in the right circle? Am I in the right social circle? Is this the one that supports my core thinking, my core values? That could be some advice there. And then the other advice is it is always levels, I would say, but there's always two boxes, I would say, of peer pressure. There's good peer pressure, like, for example, Sparkle Joy Coach over there pressured us into stepping out of our comfort zone and doing a podcast. The intent behind it was basically for our own good. It's for our own good. So you got to look at peer pressure that way. Sometimes it's good. Sometimes it's in a box where I don't need this type of pressure. So making that distinction to be.
Definitely. What's the end intent? Was it malicious behind it? Is it negativity behind it? Or does it come for the common good? And when I say the common good, I mean everybody involved, not one person, not just the person that is pressuring you. Because if this pressure only benefits that person that's pushing this, think about it. I'm not saying don't help them. I'm just saying, like what Stacey is saying, make sure that you do an inventory. Think about it. How does this affect me? Is this a negative thing? Is this a positive thing? Is this for betterment? Or is this only for someone else's betterment and you don't see where you fit in? So definitely, what about Marsé? Do you have any advice for someone struggling from peer pressure from their social circle?
Is there any example as to what struggle there might be?
You deal with a lot of young people. Maybe it's I want to be able to do this, and they shouldn't be doing that.
In that scenario, I think the best advice I could, in our program with the students, we really do work to make sure they know their self-worth, they know their boundaries, they know things about themselves. And with that, it's then being able to stand firm to those things, which is very difficult. But then finding an adult, like telling a friend, telling a coworker, maybe not coworker, telling a close friend that, hey, like this person is trying to make me do this and I don't want to do that. Can you help me? Can you help me think of ways to either stand firm in my boundary? Can you help me? Can you talk to them possibly if it's someone that they know together? And again, I think of the kids I work with, it really is conversation of, if you don't like what someone's doing, tell them, give them a no, and that's your answer. You don't need more than that. You don't need more than a no if that's something you really don't want to do. But I believe a lot of people do know what's right and wrong, what's good or bad. But sometimes they do need someone to help them remember, like, actually, yeah, I don't want to do that. So finding friends who would help advocate for you.
I love that, rebellious advocate. Several things. One, when you said boundaries, and I've done, as your Sparkle Joy coach, I've done many things around boundaries, and saying boundaries is something that I know for a fact that people do not draw. There are no boundaries for many of our listeners out there. And how do I know that? Because I coach. And literally, boundaries are not being drawn and you are really being walked over. And that is something that we do not want that for you. We want you to be able to know what a healthy boundary is. And I love what you're also saying, Marsé, is that you're reminding kids, but even as adults, you all need to be reminded too that we don't have to always walk the same path. We don't. It's okay to walk along, or it's okay to walk with another group. It is okay. We don't, just because we started in Shenanigans Ink Point, just because we started with one group, we need to evaluate, is this group still being of benefit? Maybe we love this group from afar. We could say, hey, girl, hey, boy, hey, from a far. And so great points, great points. You God's favorite. How about you tell us any tips for dealing with peer pressure from family members?
You would ask me about family. Just don't. Say no, I'm just kidding. And look, family, I love my blood. I love my water, as I like to call it, meaning the extended family members, the people that you done made family. But listen, Linda, you gotta be okay. Look, I'm going to say something. I love the rebellious advocate came up with the point, let your no be a no. So according to the God that I believe, the word that I believe, let your yes be a yes and your no be a no. And you have to be okay with telling some of your family members at certain times, yes, and sometimes no. It's okay, whatever you decide. You can't let them pressure you. You can, just because they're your family. You shouldn't allow them to pressure you into doing things that you do not want to do. Man, not me personally, but I know some situations, and you've seen movies and you've seen things on television where family members have caused other family members to incriminate themselves, to get in criminal situations. And that's just one example. Financial situations. Let's not talk about finance. I done heard rich people over and over again, don't give your family no money. Look, love them. You can love them up close. You can love them from afar, but don't do anything. Now, this is my advice to people with their family. Don't let your family pressure you into doing anything that you do not want to do. And once you make your decision, stick by it. Because once you tell them, yeah, you're going to have to go ahead and give them that $40 as many times as they ask for it. That $500 as many times as they ask for it. Go and hold that gun. I'm sorry, no weapons allowed. Go drive that car to that bad situation, whatever the case may be. It could be anything. Let your yes be a yes and your no be a no, and be okay with it.
Thank you for sharing that, because you're right. Let your yes be yes, your no be no. And remember, when you give an explanation, that is a telltale sign for someone to talk you into whatever they want you to do. Girl, oh, no, no, no. You need to go. Oh, you got to feed the dog. You got to stay home. Oh, go ahead. You know what? Why don't you just take that dog and take that dog to the neighbors. Take your dog to the neighbors, because you need to be at my event. Take your dog. Oh, take your dog to the animal shelter. I know, take him to the shelter. Take him to the shelter, because I need you at this event. People will pressure
Wow.
you. If you give them an explanation, they are going to use that explanation against you. I'm not saying that they're doing it to be malicious. It's just at this point, people want what they want. And if they're used to you saying yes, as soon as you give an explanation, they are going to be trying to figure out, how can I turn that around, instead of just accepting your no. So be careful. I'm not one to advocate for very much explanation at all. What do you feel about that shenanigans thing?
Agree. No is a complete sentence. It's easy for us to communicate. I will admit that. It does take work to do that. So out the gate, guys, you're not going to be like, no, and feel really good with it. It's a lot of work to get to the point of, okay, no, and then the dead silence, and you sit there and you're okay with it. That in itself, the silence is like, I want it, but I know I shouldn't explain. We're not saying in any way that all this is easy and you're going to just wake up tomorrow morning and be able to tell your family members, nope, I'm not doing it. Nope, not going. Cancel lunch. Not going to make it. No, we're not doing that. It does take work and it does take practice. So give yourself a little bit of grace. If the point is, get up and keep trying. And if you get to a point and you're comfortable with saying no and believing in what you're saying, it gets a little bit easier, but it's not always easy to not offer up. It's the right thing to do.
It is not going to feel easy when you start that. Well stated, excellent point, because it isn't. It is going to be awkward. It is going to be just uncomfortable. And that pregnant pause, when you're not used to a pregnant pause, it will make people's skin crawl. But get used to moments. Plenty practice it. Matter of fact, just practice your moments of silence because that in itself is going to help you. But she's right. It's uncomfortable when you first started. Do you remember the first time God's favorite on Marsé when you told somebody no and you left it as a no?
The first time, look, initially it stung because I'm one of those people. I grew up in the church and I've practiced in the church a long time. So it's all to make people feel better. I'm just using this as an example. To make people feel better, you want to give them an explanation of why you telling them that they can or can't do something or why you won't do something. So it was like it was a common courtesy or something just to give them an explanation. But the first time I did it, it stung a minute. But then it was like, oh my gosh, that felt so good just to tell you no, and it just is what it is. I don't have no problem. Look, either I'm going to do it for you and I'm going to try it, or I'm going to be like, nah, bruh, real quick. I will give you a no so fast, you be like, dang, did you even think about it? Yeah, when you asked it. Yes, once I finally got to that point, saying no a few times, that second time was like, oh, it's cool. No feels great.
I love it. I love the way how you're saying you felt immediately a relief, like a burden had been lifted because you told your truth. You said, no, I can't do this. No, unfortunately, whatever that is, no. And that's it. And to be able to feel relief from that you stood in your own without having the pressure of anything else coming back at you. No, just not going to happen today. Sorry. No. Love it, love it, love it. Do you think there are any positive aspects of peer pressure for adults?
Definitely. I think a little bit of peer pressure can go a long way, especially if the person has good intentions behind it. It's something that is not illegal or a detriment to anyone or cause harm to anyone, but it offers you an opportunity to grow, to learn, to try something new, taking you a little bit out of your comfort zone. Those are always can be good things.
You're right. Whether it's healthy habits, maybe someone's introducing something to you, that's a good thing. Or even as Stacey has said earlier, it could be something even in your professional development that maybe it's a little bit of a peer pressure, but it's a positive thing. And again, I think that goes to the points of how is this landing? How does this feel good? Is this of a benefit? And is it a mutual benefit or is this solely for someone else's purpose, maybe? How can someone build a support system to help resist negative peer pressure? Start with you, Marsé, the rebellious advocate.
I will always suggest having people who are a little more aggressive in your life, people who will defend you for you and speaks the truth. I know that there are some people who unfortunately will probably never be able to say no, but find a friend who can say no for you and mean it. That's definitely something I suggest for a lot of my friends. I am that person where if someone isn't listening to them, I then step in and make sure to confirm what the person, like what my friend is saying, to show the other, this is what they're saying and they're sticking to it, and you can't make a change. You can't make a change or answer at all. So I will always advocate for an aggressive friend or someone who is very dominant and secure in themselves to be able to put it down.
All right. You hear that, you all. Make sure that you listen, know your friends. And one thing that I can definitely say about Marsé is she is that one. If you need someone to speak some truth and you are a little bit hesitant, that Marsé is going to speak up on your behalf. That's a good point. There are people, some of you out there really do struggle with saying no. And one thing that we have shared on AAGP before is making sure that you're in therapy, make sure that you get counseling if that's something that you need. If you need a coach of some of some sort, get that, because those are places where you can work through just being able to say no. We do recognize that, yes, we've done it and we do it, but when you're first starting out, it is difficult, it is uncomfortable, and for some, it may seem insurmountable, and thus you won't do it. So that's a great point. Get someone that can help you through it. Now, we also gonna say, if you need counseling, get counseling. If you need therapy, get therapy. If you need a coach, get a coach. Get someone that you can talk through some of these things through. Anybody else want to take a stab at how someone can build a system to help resist negative peer pressure?
Yeah, positivity matters. I think I'm gonna pull from both of Marsé and Stacey Shenanigans and Rebellious Advocate and say you have to be mindful of how you build your support circle, social circle. You need people that have some of how you think and a lot of what you don't have. And that's what I like to say it like that, because I think we need a little bit of everybody in our circle. You don't want somebody that's always going to go against you, but you don't want people that aren't always going to agree with you either. You want multiple people. You can't, one other is great, three better, four, don't make it too big, but you need multiple personalities. You need people that are going to accent your strength and take away your negativity, and that's going to encourage you and support you and also tell you when you're wrong in that area. And that's a way to get the positive peer pressure going around you. Somebody that's going to propel you forward, to push you to do things that you weren't going to do, or when they see you shine away from your greatness, that they help you get to your next level of greatness and help you to start growing. So that's my word for the day on building your circle, I guess you should say, to help you build a stronger circle around you and people that's around you. Keep your bubble tight, but not so tight that it's going to burst later, if you get my point. It shouldn't be so small, but it shouldn't be so huge.
I love it. And you're right, because she spoke a lot about that particular circle. What advice would you give? Because undoubtedly there are people out there, and I say this because, again, not harping on the fact that I'm a coach, I see it. I see people who, and even at work, I see where we have lost the ability to connect with others. And I do believe that you can still gain friends as you age. It's not, we don't always, now granted, some of us I have had a lifelong friendship with Stacey. And so that's a blessing. However, it doesn't mean that you can't continue to have and build new friendships. So what would you say to the person that's, yeah, you all are talking about having these circles. I don't have a circle. So what should that person do? How would you help them?
I'm going to jump in so I can help. You have to present yourself friendly. I'm going to say, for those people out there that feel that they don't have any friends or they don't have any friends, present yourself friendly. And when you're out in public, I'm going to give you the little small things. It's some practical things that you could do that you're probably not doing. First of all, take the grinch off your face. People that wear mean faces aren't always the ones to get approached first. Try saying hello. This may not be your culture, because I know we're in several countries. This may not be your culture, but this is a way to do it. Try saying hello. These are very simple, practical things that are conversation starters. Ask people how their day's going. When you're all standing in the line, find something that's in their cart that you just like, oh, it's that good? These are the way that you begin friendships, off of the little thing. You don't always have to go to a bar. Everybody doesn't drink. Everybody doesn't go to a religious synagogue or whatever. When you're in public, be friendly. Don't be in such a rush to just rush life. If someone says, "How are you today?" respond positively. You have to present yourself friendly. And this is just a good start. It's not going to tell you it's going to work 100% of the time, but you're opening up a door that you obviously or could have been closing off a long time ago by not being friendly to others first. And people gravitate towards that. When they see that you are approachable and that they can say something back to you, they start conversations. They may tell you their life story. You may not have asked for it today, but just be patient and practice being happy.
I love
Okay.
that.
All
I
right. There
love
we go.
that. Well said. In that
Nice.
vein, in what you're saying, you can also sign up for those people. Maybe you just came to a new area. Sign up for a group. Sign up for pickleball. Sign up for a chess tournament, checkers tournament. It doesn't have to be anything serious or anything heavy, but get in. Groups will help you to connect. Or even though God's favorite was singing, it doesn't necessarily have to be a bar. But if you do happen to go to one, talking to people, you're at bar, excellent, talk to people, not people that you're trying to date or take home. We just mean have conversations with the person that's sitting next to you. Throw a compliment. If it's a woman to a woman, you can literally say, "Oh, your hair is beautiful. I like that color on you." You can just have general conversation. Or say, you deal with a lot of children. What's something that you share with them for them to have conversations with people?
As in just bonding
Sure.
with young people, a lot of things like relationship building and getting to know people comes from the adult navigating them through it a little bit. A lot of times our students will tell us as group leaders, "Oh, I don't feel like we have a lot in common." And the group leader will look at them and be like, well, have you ever asked about me? What do you actually know about me? To then say you don't have a lot in common. A lot of times people just don't talk to people. I have a lot in common with a lot of my students, and they honestly probably don't even realize it. They have no clue that Marsé knows about this anime and the thing, Dungeons and Dragons, all of these other things that I enjoy. So I definitely tell them to try everything. They're young. If you've never played Dungeons and Dragons, try it. I've made great friends over that. There's so many different things, like Miss Sparkle Joy Coach was saying. There are so many things to try, like pickleball, like chess, a swimming club, so many things. So many.
So many things. You all just need to get out and do it. Stacey, do you have anything that you would like to add for support?
Yeah, I agree with everything. I would recommend everything that the rebellious advocate said in God's favorite as well. I would just add that don't think of it as a huge feat. You need to go out and find 10 people. You really need to connect with a couple of people, and then it can morph into them connecting you to their friends, and that's how your circle grows, and then you can select who your tight circle versus just an extension or associate. So I would say be outgoing, look for that one or two friends with a common interest.
Great insights, everyone. To our listeners, we hope that these tips will help you to navigate the often tricky waters of adult peer pressure. We'd love to hear your thoughts and experiences on this topic. Follow us on social media and join the conversation using the hashtag AAGP or adult peer pressure. Don't forget to like and subscribe to this episode with your family and friends. Wait a minute. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share this episode with your family and friends. Let's support each other in staying true to ourselves. Thank you for joining us and tuning in to Almost Anything Goes podcast. A big thanks goes to Orvin, Stacey, and Marsé, our beautiful co-hosts. Until next time, remember it's okay to stand out by yourself, stay curious, and keep exploring. Have a great day.